It was one of the finest seasons in the 64-year history of the National Football League. In all of professional sports, no other league packs so much excitement and drama into game day.
All right, Bunch, here's a chance. We got the ball first. Now, let's get a block. Go to kickoff. Let's bring it out. Let's have some fun. Let's go. Going
As always, there were dominant players and dominant teams. But never in the league's history has a championship chase been at the fingertips of so many. The Detroit Lions rode the enthusiasm and talent of running back Billy Sims, number 20, to their first division championship since 1957. Another inspirational performance was turned in by Atlanta's Billy Johnson, number 81, who was named the comeback player of 1983. After 2 knee operations as a Houston Oiler, a brief stint in Canada, and a year on the bench in Atlanta, it seemed that the career of Billy White Shoes was over. But in 1983, number 81 destroyed such notions with a season so stunning it made believers of dreamers everywhere.
Now they've got to go to the end zone with 2 seconds left.
Are we talking Hail Mary, or are we talking reception and lateral?
I would say right here you've got to go to Billy White Shoes and let him do a little dance with the ball and try to go for the end zone. Here come the Falcons with Hodge, Bailey, and Johnson. All to the left side. 2 seconds remain. 49ers will come with a 3-man rush. Bartkowski to throw. He is going long down the near sideline. It's going to be a jump ball, and it is pulled down by Billy Johnson. Johnson inside the 10, 5. He is down. He is. Give it to him. He's in. Touchdown. Touchdown, Atlanta. Billy Johnson. It's a touchdown.
No time on the clock.
The Falcons have won it. They pulled it from nowhere. The Falcons have won it. Big Ben left, and it worked.
Full moon over Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium, and Shoes did his thing.
Billy White Shoes Johnson, a touchdown.
Once he caught it, he had no place to go. He got inside the 5, looked for daylight, and then dove for the end zone.
How about that?
Even though the Atlanta Falcons weren't a team of destiny, thanks to the proven skills of Billy Johnson, they were a team of daring and drama. In Denver, the Broncos were banking on the unproven pro skills of quarterback John Elway, the NFL's #1 draft choice. Number 7 won the starting job during preseason, but when the regular season kicked off, Elway couldn't stand up to the pressure. Denver's complex offense disoriented Elway, and he spent much of his first season just trying to get his bearings. But helped along by head coach Dan Reeves, Elway rebounded and led the Broncos to a wild card playoff berth. Never before has youth played such a part in turning NFL teams around. Running backs Eric Dickerson of the Rams, Kurt Warner of the Seahawks, and quarterback Dan Marino of the Dolphins all were rookies who were instrumental in their team's assault on the playoffs. By Miami's Don Shula went with Marino in the season's 5th week, and number 13 responded by leading the AFC in passing, while directing the Dolphins to the AFC Eastern title. Marino gave Miami a deep passing game. Number 29, Eric Dickerson, gave the Rams a running attack and a playoff berth. Eric's 1,808 yards rushing led the NFL and were the highest total by a first-year player in NFL history. His 85-yard touchdown run against the Jets was also the longest run from scrimmage in 1983. The top rusher in the AFC was Seattle's first-round choice Kurt Warner, number 28. Thanks to this versatile and elusive rookie, the Seahawks soared to the first playoff berth in franchise history and made Chuck Knox the first head coach to lead 3 different teams into postseason play.
The H got over here. They were going to overshift the line, and they were not going to adjust the second.
NFL 83 was a season of complexity. On offense, the one-back attack was in, and the defense had to find a way to stop it.
As you read this type of action, you've got to get depth because they've zipped the Z in so far that he'll be coming in behind you.
Modern defense is formulated around strength in numbers. But one powerful man on the line of scrimmage can still control the game. Outside linebackers like Lawrence Taylor of the Giants and number 53 Hugh Green of the Buccaneers emerged as the most dominant defenders in the game today. Their rare blend of athletic skill destroyed the best laid plans of an offense. In 1983, these and other talented players led a charge that resulted in an NFL record for defensive touchdowns in one season. With offenses spread all over the field and passing the football at a record clip, turnovers turned into touchdowns as defenders found that they could remedy an unfavorable situation with a single blow. Because of this wide-open approach, the pulse of any game could change rapidly. But this was more the result of the NFL's offenses, whose imaginative plans of attack were as deceiving as they were delightful to watch. Not since the pass-happy days of the 1950s have so many spirals filled the air. Green Bay's Lynn Dickey was one of 3 quarterbacks who threw for over 4,000 yards. Atlanta's Steve Bartkowski was the NFL's top-ranked passer. With 92 receptions, Los Angeles Raider tight end Todd Christensen led all receivers. Teams won by passing when they wanted to pass, not when the defense dictated that they could. But while 1983 featured great individual talent, only the great teams won.
All right, let's go split right close, 20 paint. 20.
With its one back, two tight ends, and pre-snap movement, the Washington Redskin offense, quarterbacked by Joe Theismann, scored 541 points, the highest in NFL history. Their flash dance passing was complemented by bullish John Riggins, who set an NFL record with 24 touchdowns. Armed with the best offense in football and the league's toughest defense to run against, the Redskins bred the conviction in an opponent that they would have to play a perfect game to beat them. Only two did, as Washington won 14 regular season games and then 2 more en route to the NFC Championship. The rise of the Redskins over the past 2 seasons has been at the expense of one of the league's most consistent winners, the Dallas Cowboys. In 1983, the Cowboys' shotgun was loaded once again with deadly ammunition. The end zone always seemed in the range of number 33, Tony Dorsett, and number 11, Danny White. On both sides of the football, Dallas could shoot down an opponent, and 12 times in 1983, they did just that. Only Dallas appeared to have the firepower to stop the rampaging Redskins, and in their Monday night season opener, the Cowboys overcame a 23-0 halftime lead to win 31-30. They would win 11 out of their next 13 games, and had only to beat Washington at home in the season's 15th Sunday to win the Eastern Division Championship. It began as a typical Cowboy and Redskin shootout. In the first half, the Cowboys were swept under a wave of burgundy that was stirred up by Joe Theismann. Late in the third quarter, with the contest still undecided, the Cowboys faced a 4th and 1. The plan was to lure Washington off sides and never snap the ball. But at the line of scrimmage, Danny White audibled into an off-tackle play that proved to be the downfall of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas was routed 35-10. And 2 weeks later, the Los Angeles Rams kicked the Cowboys right out of the wild card playoffs. Suddenly, Dallas's 18th consecutive winning season and impressive 12-4 record was overshadowed by their failure to get to the Super Bowl. The New Orleans Saints have never been to a Super Bowl. In fact, they have never had a winning season.
One thing I want you to remember. Football is only a small part of your life. It ain't life or death out there. All we got to do is go out and do the same thing that we've asked from the first day we started. Do everything as good as you can, and then a little bit more. That's all the hell you got to do.
In his third year as head coach, Bum Phillips rebuilt the Saints into a team that learned how to win. Led by old pro Kenny Stabler, number 16, New Orleans set their sights on something they had always wanted, but never had: a winning year. Much of the excitement stemmed from Bum's defense. The Saints were the NFC's top-ranked defenders, and by the season's final Sunday, New Orleans was but one game away from their elusive dream. Only the Los Angeles Rams stood in their way. Unfortunately, the Saints threw away their golden moment as the Rams scored on a punt return and 2 interceptions. With but 6 seconds remaining, a field goal finally ended Bum's quest of making his Saints winners. And they rode out of 1983 saddled with a record of 8 wins and 8 losses. The Los Angeles Raiders are at the opposite end of the spectrum from the Saints. During the last 20 years, they have been the winningest organization in pro sports. While some suggest that the game has taken on a vanilla flavor as teams seek to avoid mistakes, the Raiders still swing from the heels, regardless of which team has the football. The Raiders' philosophy is simple. Great players make great plays. Led by stars like Marcus Allen, number 32, they prove this by running away with the AFC Western Division title for the 9th time in the last 14 years. The Los Angeles Raiders have been so typecast as intimidators and roughnecks that people forget how much genuine talent they have. But in the playoffs, they not only displayed their talent, they also showed that they were a team that knows how to run when the wire is near. The Raiders destroyed the Pittsburgh Steelers 38-10, then struck 12 on the Cinderella season of the Seattle Seahawks with a 30-14 pounding in the AFC Championship game. Only the Redskins blocked the championship chase of these mighty Raiders.
You guys were magnificent. We played a great football game. We deserve to be the champs and represent this conference. We're going to Tampa, baby. We're going to
Super Bowl 18. The Los Angeles Raiders and the defending world champion Washington Redskins. What seemed to be a perfect matchup quickly turned into a classic mismatch. The Raiders scored immediately, then turned loose their stable of thoroughbreds on the stunned Redskins. Marcus Allen ran for a Super Bowl record 191 yards, and quarterback Jim Plunkett passed the Raiders to a 14-3 lead. Redskins head coach Joe Gibbs watched helplessly as Raiders cornerback single-covered his speedy wide receivers. This freed the corner linebackers from outside pass coverage and allowed them to blitz and pressure Joe Theismann. The Redskin ground game fared even worse as the Raider inside linebackers shut down the inside power running of John Riggins. 12 seconds remaining in the half, the Redskins were backed against their own goal line. But instead of running out the clock, they gambled.
I felt that being behind 14-3, I was not comfortable with falling on the ball. I just wasn't going to do that. And as a matter of fact, the statement was made on the sideline, hey, maybe we ought to run a play. And I said, no, we're not. It was my decision. I made it.
Gibbs' decision resulted in Jack Squirick's interception and gave the Raiders a 21-3 halftime lead and ended the competitive phase of Super Bowl 18.
I think that if there had been a way for me to be on that sideline at that point in the game and stop the world right there, and if I could have, at that point, taken a vote from everybody that had been there or been watching on TV, and I think there'd been a lot of people said, hey, yeah, let's take a shot, you know, let's give that thing a shot. We don't want to just fall on the ball. We haven't done anything all day. I think there'd been a lot of people that would have said that. After it happened, I don't think I can find 5 that would say that, but that's my job.
The Raiders raced to a blowout of unthinkable proportions, a 38-9 victory over the defending world champions.
Bucket giving to Allen, setting him wide left. He has to reverse his field, but he gets away for a moment. Comes back up to the middle of 30, 25, 40. Breaks past 2 men at the 50, down to the 40, picking up a blocker.
It was their 3rd world championship, and they had done it in a style befitting their swashbuckling image. As always, the season belongs to the champion, and 1983 belonged to the Los Angeles Raiders.
2 years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future. And with all the great teams we've had, I think today that this organization, this team, this coaching staff dominated so decisively that 2 things must be said. Not only, in my opinion, are you the greatest Raider team of all time, I think you rank with the great teams of all time that have ever played any professional sport.
Commitment to excellence, the motto of the Raiders. And once again, Coach Tom Flores fulfilled that commitment in a Super Bowl.
The final score, Los Angeles 38, Washington Redskins 9. They have turned back the team that many just a few weeks ago were trying to rank with the greatest of all time. They have turned them back in the most shattering fashion imaginable.
The NFL has had its great teams. They have come from Green Bay, Dallas, Miami, and Pittsburgh. But perhaps none has matched the muscle and mystique of the Raiders. Over the past 20 years, the Raiders have been the winningest team in all of professional sports. When history, the harshest of judges, comes to a decision on Al Davis's Raiders, it will look to Super Bowl 18 for guidance. Like all athletic contests, Super Bowl 18 was not only a game, but a true test of men. And right from the start, the Raiders proved they had the best men. Early in the first quarter, Washington's assistant coach Wayne Sevier prepared his punting team for the game's first critical play.
Punt alert. Punt alert.
to punt. Greg Pruitt waits back at his own 30. Hayes needs a good punt now. He's going to have the wind at his back. High snap. He goes up, blocked. It's going to be blocked into the end zone. The Raiders on a chase. It'll be recovered in the end zone. It'll be recovered for a Raider touchdown. Lightning has struck wearing black and silver. Derek Jensen, number 31, blocked the kick, and I believe he recovered it.
It's gone. We can't worry about that one. Oh, yeah. That guy just took an inside charge in Otis, and he missed him.
The game's first touchdown was the result of an outstanding effort by Derek Jensen, number 31, the captain of the Raiders special teams. At the snap of the ball, Jensen cut inside of the Redskins' Otis Wansley. And when Clint Didier moved out to block Lester Hayes, Jensen had an open path to the punt. In direct contrast to the aggressive play of the Raiders' special teams was the strangely conservative game plan of the Raiders' offense. Throughout the first quarter, it was a carefully controlled mixture of short, safe passes. It was also a ticking time bomb, and early in the second quarter, it went off. Cliff Branch, number 21, is a talkative little receiver with a gift of grab. And although he's 35 years old, he still had enough speed to beat both Anthony Washington and Darrell Green to the ball for a 50-yard gain for the Raiders. Two plays later, quarterback Jim Plunkett again located Branch, this time in the end zone for a 13-yard touchdown. For the second time, young Anthony Washington, number 24, was outmaneuvered by Branch. One quick inside move, and Branch was wide open. Another old pro who contributed to the success of this play was center Dave Dolgan, whose alert block prevented a blitzing linebacker from sacking Plunkett.
Back is Plunkett to pass. Going to the end zone. Branch wide open, falling down, touchdown.
Did you see Tom Flores there, Bill? He was even getting excited about it. Well, listen, Tom has given vent to some emotion on the sideline a couple of times.
The Raiders led 14-0 and had scored with their special teams and their offense. But the storyline of this Super Bowl would be the Raiders' defense and its ability to disarm and dominate the Redskins' heralded offense. The key figures in the Raiders' defense were the cornerbacks number 37, Lester Hayes, and number 22, Mike Haynes. The Redskins' wide receivers, Charlie Brown and Art Monk, became their reluctant partners in a demanding dance that would affect every phase of the Raider defense. It was man for man, jam and juke, bump and run. And the coverage by Hayes and Haynes was so intimidating that neither Brown nor Monk caught a single pass in the first half. The ability of the cornerbacks to single cover the Redskins' two best receivers relieved the Raider linebackers of certain pass coverage responsibilities and allowed them to crowd the line of scrimmage and blitz more frequently. While the outside linebackers pressured Joe Theismann, the inside linebackers filled the gaps to stop John Riggins. Led by number 55, Matt Millen, and Bob Nelson, number 51, the Raiders held the mighty Riggins to only 64 yards in 26 carries. His longest run of the day was a mere 8 yards. Other teams were forced to use their safeties to help cover Brown and Monk. But because the Raider cornerbacks could cover them alone, safety Mike Davis, number 36, was free to come forward and help stop Riggins. Nose tackle Reggie Kinlaw, number 62, was another reason why Riggins could find no running room. He overpowered center Jeff Bostic and prevented Riggins from gaining yardage up the middle. During the regular season, the Redskins scored more points than any team in history. But the Raiders crushed Washington's offense and reduced the NFL's all-pro quarterback to a hesitant passer who lost yardage making up his mind. With only 12 seconds to go in the first half, and with the ball on the Redskin 12, everyone expected the troubled Redskins to run out the clock and try to regroup at halftime. But Raider assistant coach Charlie Sumner had a hunch. When the two teams played in October, the Redskins had been in a similar situation and had thrown a little screen pass to Joe Washington that gained 67 yards. Anticipating the same play, Sumner replaced Matt Millen with a pass defense specialist, Jack Squirick, number 58, and instructed him to play man for man on Joe Washington.
Here come the Redskins with 12 seconds to go in the half, trailing 14-3.
Theismann back, looks off to the left, and he fires it out there. Intercepted! Jack Squirick! Touchdown Raiders! I don't believe it! Holy Toledo!
A screen pass, and they looked like they knew it was coming. Man ran right for it. I guarantee they looked like they knew that play was coming.
Sumner's hunch was right. When Theismann dropped back, Squirick raced toward Washington, then picked off the pass intended for him and waltzed in for the touchdown. Squirick's interception was the most telling blow of the game and gave the Raiders a 21-3 halftime lead.
An electrifying, stunning development as Jack Squirick becomes the proud possessor of a Super Bowl 18 touchdown.
Bill, I'm flabbergasted. I cannot believe that the Redskins, back on their own 12-yard line, with 12 seconds to go in the half, would do that.
30 minutes, baby. 30 minutes.
That's what we want, man. Our game. We got 30 minutes of Raider football, baby. 30 minutes of Raider football, and it's all ours. No let up. No let up. Let's go.
In the first half, the Raiders had defused pro football's most potent offense. But in the second half, the Redskins showed flashes of the brilliance that had burned other defenses throughout the season. In the third quarter, Joe Theismann called on a variety of receivers to move 69 yards in 8 plays to the edge of the Raiders' end zone.
See
It's too early for the Redskins to panic. They just got to play good, hard Redskins football. They can get back into this football game.
If there's ever a team that could come back from a 21-3 halftime lead, it is the Redskins.
They've scored 30. They've averaged 34 points a game. Boy, this is going to do a lot for that whole Redskins football team to get in right here.
Here's Riggins, right side, vaults, touchdown, Washington Redskins.
No doubt about it. And they played Redskins football all the way on that drive. They have momentum back down.
They get them right back in the football game.
They just showed the silver and black that the burgundy and gold has come to play.
The momentum that the Redskins established was slightly dissipated on the point after, when Don Hasselbeck charged through All-Pro tackle Joe Jacoby and blocked the kick.
Here's the extra point, blocked, 87.
Two blocked.
Don Hasselbeck, the tight end, blocked it.
It was 21-9, and there was still hope for Washington. They had scored 17 unanswered points in the fourth quarter in that earlier game against Los Angeles. This time, however, the Raiders took the ball and turned out the lights.
Well, the Raiders said they were going to do it. By golly, so far they are doing it, dominating this Washington Redskin team.
Not many teams have done that to the Redskins.
No team has done that to the Redskins this year.
Crockett giving the ball here to Allen. Cut back over the middle. Dances 3-2-1. Touchdown Raiders. A marvelous piece of zigzag dancing.
It was a beautiful adjustment by Marcus. He saw that opening, and when he did cut back, he had plenty of room and just had to sidestep one linebacker as he made it into the end zone.
Scoreboard showing the Raiders 28, the Redskins 9, and we'll be right back.
Late in the third quarter, Los Angeles committed a rare mistake. Cliff Branch fumbled, and Washington recovered in scoring position on the Raider 36. But the vital organs of the Redskin offense were no longer functioning, and 3 plays gained only 9 yards.
A field goal means that 17 will win for us by 1. Although we ought to go for it here.
With it 4th and 1, Riggins was the only choice. Might as well die with your boots on.
Here comes Riggins, left side. No, he won't make it.
Well, I don't know. I think it might be close enough to measure. He fell forward.
Once again, it was a Raider linebacker who delivered the fatal blow. Rod Martin overpowered tight end Rick Walker, and with some help from Mike Davis, stopped Riggins short of the first down.
He did not make it.
No, he didn't.
So the 4th down fails, and the Raiders have taken over at their own 26-yard line.
You know, as soon as the sun went down and this became a night game, the Raiders immediately started playing better.
As Washington's hopes faded into the dying daylight, on came Marcus Allen, running with the knife.
Crockett giving to Allen, sending him wide left. He has to reverse his field, but he gets away for a moment. Comes back up the middle of 30, 25, 40. Breaks past 2 men at the 50, down to the 40. Picking up a blocker to the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown Raiders! Holy Toledo! 7-10. The Raiders are mobbing Marcus Allen.
Allen's touchdown was a play called 17 Bob Tray O. The Raiders have used it for years, but no one ever ran it quite the way Allen did in Super Bowl XVIII. The play was designed to go inside the corner linebacker. But Allen took it too wide, and when he saw safety Ken Coffey charging in unblocked, he reversed his field. What began as an ugly, busted play turned into a beautiful 74-yard touchdown run, the longest in the history of the Super Bowl. This record-breaking run was the centerpiece of a dazzling display by Marcus Allen, who was chosen the game's most valuable player. In the fourth quarter, Allen's ball carrying set up a field goal, and he finished the day with 191 yards rushing, the most ever by anyone in a Super Bowl. He was lightning in a game ruled by thunder, and he lit up the Super Bowl sky with a history-making performance.
Let's keep dominating this team. Let's keep dominating. Keep dominating. No doubt. That's right. Let's just abuse them. Let's abuse them, baby.
The Raiders have always talked a mean game, and on this Sunday, they played one. For the Redskins, this was a defeat the dimensions of which they had never experienced, a rout from which no honor could be salvaged. At the heart of this darkness was the Raider defense. They had stripped the Redskins of their most trusted weapons and sacked Joe Theismann 6 times. Nothing on earth that blocked or tackled or passed or ran could have stopped the Raiders on Black Sunday.
With a safety blitz, no way Theismann could see him. He was jolted loose from the ball, and the Raiders take it away. And the Raiders' celebration will start.
In Super Bowl XVIII, the Raiders again scaled the heights of football greatness and stood alone on the summit. A team of young men filled with promise and old veterans filled with pride. The 1983 Raiders are an honor to the team's glorious past and the world champions of pro football's present.
This NFL Films production has been brought to you by the National Football League. The NFL is online at www.nfl.com.